Hello.
Hello, hello, good
Hello.
evening. Yes, we
Yes.
can
Good
hear
evening,
you. Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Mr. Toyib.
Toyib, are you with us?
I can't hear you.
Okay, I see that his own screen is loading. Okay, it's up. It's up.
Hello.
Hello. We can hear you.
Okay, great.
Toyib, you're welcome.
And yeah, thank you for joining the live event. Um, some of the guests they are saying they are backstage, and I'm guessing that they need to be added, so we can
I've seen
kickstart with
that
the event because
we
we
are
are just
four
a
of us
bit.
backstage, but I can't see the name of the fourth person.
Oh, all right. If the fourth person can hear us, could you just signify either Sean or Jerry if you are there? Okay. Sean, when you're saying he can
Okay,
hear us,
so I can hear you.
Sean, if you can hear us, we want you to join us, right? So we can. I don't know what is wrong here. Why is okay? It's on. That's great. That's great. Thank you,
Okay.
Sean, for joining
Yeah.
us. So we are waiting the second guest,
Okay.
Jerry, and we are trusting that he's going to be with us shortly, right?
Okay.
So
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I just
uh,
want to be sure you can hear me loud and
yeah,
clear.
Sean, you are very audible. I can hear you.
Oh,
I can hear you.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
But
thank
you
you
need
so
to
much
control
for.
your decision. When you now go into the processing, what products from your
From our old media, could you mute your mic a bit, please? Thanks. Okay, I'm getting a message from Jerry. I'm sure that will be joining us shortly. So I'm just going to um, give like 4 minutes so we can start up roundly. This is by Nigerian time, West African time. This is 5:36, right? So once it's 5:40, we are going to kickstart the event. So we can get to discuss everything that we have for today, and we just be us few minutes. I'm sure that quite a number of people are getting to see us live now because this event has been multi-stream right now to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, right? So um, 3 minutes left. I'll just mute my mic for now. Thank you. Fama Olumide, could you check if Jerry is not at the back end waiting to join the event?
No, it's not there. It's not there.
Okay, because I got a message from him actually, and he's still responding to me now. He will be joining us shortly, but irrespective, once it's 5:40, we begin with the event, right? Am I audible? I want to be sure that I'm not speaking with myself, please.
Yes, Toyib, you are audible.
Okay, straight. So I go on straight to the event. It's 5:40 already. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2025-2026 Nigerian Agriculture Budget Appraisal and Analysis. Hi, I'm Toyib Aziz, the founder and CEO of Igbo Fruit and the Lasgidi Farmer Podcast. So joining me also to host this event, this is the second edition that we'll be having. We've had the first edition last year. Leading agricultural professionals and communicators. So we have Alfred Ukan, he's the founder of Chuvat Agro Services and CEO Melora Farms, and also we have Afis Olumide Garuba, he's the founder of Voice of Farmer. So we have come together to drive, open, data-driven conversation on Nigerian agriculture and budget accountability. So today we are focusing on how budgets are or having translating into real impact for farmers, food security, and rural and general economy. So the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security 2026 allocation reached 1.45 trillion naira today. Is a major increase with more than 1.3 trillion naira as capital expenditure, targeting fertilizer support, SARS expansion, mechanization, irrigation, name it. And when combined with livestock, this sector represents roughly about 2.59% of the national budget. But the critical questions remain: will funds be released on time? That's one. Will duplication, knock-up projects, and inflation undermine the gains? That's two. And will smallholder farmer, which we know they produce majority of our food, actually benefit, from this budget? So we are trying to look at three main goals today. The first is to appraise the past budget, get some lessons from 2024 and 2025, what delivered results, what failed, and what must change for better execution moving forward. So the second goal we are trying to achieve today is to look at, have a detailed look at the 2025-2026, budget itself, the priorities, the red flags, gaps, and where there are real opportunity. And the third one, which is as well important as the other two, is to empower action. It's not just about knowing about all this budget, the details, but we must also know how to enforce accountability, how to undertake monitoring. So we are looking at practical insights and clear steps for farmers, youth, agribusiness owners, and citizens to track funds, engage in the budget process, and demand accountability. So joining us are two outstanding voices. We have Seun Oluwaseun Adeyemi, known as Seun with us. So I'll give you a brief profile about him. Shehu is an agricultural economist with degree from the University of Ibadan. He's also a chartered stockbroker. He was former team lead for secondary market at the Nigerian exchange, and also is currently a wealth management professional at CI Financial in Canada. So Shehu, he brings this sharp economic and investment lens to budget realities and opportunity. And our other guest that will be joining us shortly goes by the name Jerry Toby Olarewaju. So he's widely known as the Chief Farmer of Africa, a visionary agribusiness strategist with over 10 years in agri-food value chain. He leads Jet Farms and Agro Solutions Limited, and he focuses on post-harvest losses, climate-smart agriculture, and market access. So he has founded other companies as well.
I think we lost Toib there. Let's just hold on shortly for him to join us.
Farm to see Yeah. So I'm done with the introduction, right? And Sheon, thank you for joining us. I just want you to, say one or two things, joining us today. What are your expectations for the event today? What do you think that you are going to arrive at today? Thank you.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Toib, and thank you, Alfred,
I don't know.
Olumide, and I think the other guest that we're expecting. Right, it's a great pleasure to be here and to discuss agriculture and budgeting, appraisal and all issues that ties to it. Um, my expectation, I mean, to drive conversations, to hold the government accountable, to look at opportunities, to drive this discussion, and we're at a time where we can't deny the pivotal role of agriculture, and we've always been at that time. But over the years, over different budget cycles, I mean, we kind of veer off and we come back, we veer off and come back. So it's an interesting discourse, and we are at an interesting time globally. And I can tell you that there's a lot of work to do, and we must keep the conversation going and hold the stakeholders accountable. So I'm excited to be here. I mean, it's nice to be in the midst of those who are on the field doing agriculture. It's different from looking at the crunching figures and speaking to those who are on the field doing things and feeding the nation and ensuring food security, even at a very difficult time like this, given the role of insecurity and all other ancillary issues that affect production and productivity. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheon, for that. Let me just use your market technical terms. I'm happy that you are very bullish about this event, right? And having so much expectations for today's event, and also about the Nigerian agriculture, the resilience, despite everything this food system is facing. So I just like to hear a bit from Mr. Alfred as well. So we get going with the first question of the day.
Thank you so much, Toib. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you for honoring our invitation. The agricultural sector is contributing about 25% to our GDP, and it is no small sector because it's employing over 70% of Nigeria's workforce. And the budget that is allocated to this over 70% of Nigeria workforce is something that we really need to touch, debate, analyze, appraise and make sure that we achieve as much result as possible, especially at the grassroots level. So it's such an honor and a privilege to, dissect the budget and look at it from a point of impact, at the grassroots level. I want to thank everyone that is here on the call today and everyone that is listening across various platforms. And I want to say you are welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alfred, for that brief. And so we hear from Farmer Olumide as well. He has joined us, and your expectation of today's event, so we can kickstart. You're still waiting for Jerry, trusting that he's going to join us shortly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheon Adeyemi, for joining this conversation. Thank you so much. We are very glad to have you here. And, we had this conversation last year, and we are happy to have this again with different people that understand what the budget is all about. Now I can see so many news flying around about the budget, saying they are trying to check into it. There are some projects that they're supposed to do or some other stuff. So today I am anticipating to hear from you what are the impacts of the last budget, what project were they able to do, and the one that probably the one that were left out, what are the impacts from the budget, and the one that we have now, the new one that we have now, how sure are we that this thing is really going to make us to have to be more food sufficient in our nation? So I just have so many questions to ask. I'm just curious about what this year budget is going to look like. We have it already, but what are we expecting from the budget? What will be the outcome from the budget? Thank you so very much, Mr. Sean, for joining.
Thank you very much for having me.
So over to you, Mr. Toib.
So I think Mr. Toib left the call, and it seems more of a network issue, but I will just jump right in, pending when he returns from the call. So I'm going to take the first question to Mr. Sheon. So Mr. Sheon, with your experience as a wealth management consultant, and if you were to advise us as a commercial bank or an investor looking at this 2026 agricultural budget, which three lines would you say will make this our budget, or the budget for 2026, to be bankable? And would you walk away as an investor? That's one. Or how can ordinary farmers use this same thinking to access money outside government releases? I don't know if you get my questions correctly.
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, that's a very much packed question. The budget is usually a guide, right, to know what is the thought process of the government in terms of their direction and, what they are thinking and how they feel they can, support the economy, especially the agricultural sector. There are a lot of things, a lot of line items everywhere. I mean, a lot of projects, a lot of interesting things. But I will just take a look at one thing I'm very, very much interested in, and that is the part of the budget that talks to expanding, or that's allocated to cottage industries, right? And that is very important in terms of the value chain, in terms of expanding the value chain, and also making farmers or producers be more profitable, right? So because when we look at the whole picture of the budget, there are different lines, different things, and my mind, I call to question some things that why are we still thinking this way at this time, right? I saw a line talking of construction of a new Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and some other lines. But that part of developing the cottage industry, I feel that is something that could be very pivotal. But when I look at the amount allotted to it, and I say, oh, well, it's very small. I'm seeing about 231 million naira. And I'm like, this is where we should be looking at, right? Because the cottage industry kind of creates more value at the point just not too distant from the farm gate, right? I'm
Yeah.
producing cassava. I want to turn it to Gary, and from there, I can, as a farmer, I'm not just going to sell my raw cassava, right? I
Yeah.
can turn it
Yeah.
into something that adds more value, and that budget line, that part of the budget line, is interesting to me. And but when I looked at the figure allotted to it, I said, "Come on, this is something that." That we need more thinking around, right? But
Yeah.
one thing about the budget, when we look at the budget holistically, yes, the federal government has this budget. It's kind of a direction or a pointer to what they want to do. But
Yes.
apart from that, I like to look at things at the subnational level and even the local government level, right? That is where we
Yeah.
can have the impact, right? That is where we
Yes.
can see
Yeah.
things happen. And the development of the cottage industry, which I am very much interested in, I think it also ties into what the government or even the African Development Bank has been thinking of in terms of special processing zone, the SPZ, if I got that rightly, where you're building capacity in different geopolitical zones based on the comparative advantage they have in terms of production. I know we have one being developed in somewhere in Oyo State. So that particular part of the budget line is something that I see that the private sector can also say, okay, this for those that are very much involved. And the interesting thing is that we have a lot of people that are very much involved now, especially young people, those at the farm producing. We have farmers now producing cassava and turning to Gary. We
Yeah.
have people that even if it comes to even fruits, from fruits, maybe watermelon, they turn it to smoothies and they sell. So that cottage industry development is very important. Another part of the
Yeah.
budget line that I see that is very that also I'm a bit disappointed in terms of the allocation would be the development of cold chain industry storage. Very important if we
Yes.
are going to advance the market and make farmers more profitable. Cold
Yeah.
chain will help in terms of a well developed cold chain infrastructure will help in terms of reducing post-harvest losses. Post-harvest
Yes.
loss has been something we have always said. A lot of produce being developed at even the farm, I mean, being produced rather, pardon that,
Yes.
at the farm gate. We know these are being lost due to post-harvest loss because sometimes you don't even have off-takers to take at the time when it's still fresh. But it developed a very much developed infrastructure, cold chain infrastructure, will assist even in development of what the cottage industry which I mentioned, right? So
Yes.
that
Yes.
alone will create more value. And the interesting thing about the cold chain development or the cold chain part of that budget will be that a farmer can produce tomatoes, right? And you're
Yeah.
able to store and export, right? Well, you are able to
Yes.
store and preserve till you get the right buyers for the right price. So, but
Yeah.
I like to think of this as just the federal government just giving a roadmap, but it's left to the government at the subnational and even the local government and the private sector to advance this. So I like to think of the budget just as just as providing a guide. Though there are a lot of things, as I mentioned, I looked at it and I'm like, why is this line item there? Why is it that you're budgeting for fencing? And also budgeting for fencing the ministry, or you're budgeting for a new complex, and you're also budgeting for maintaining the old structure. So what are we doing there? You understand? So what are we doing
Yeah.
there? Looking at
Yeah.
limited brick and mortar infrastructure.
Resource.
You understand? And but what will add
Yes.
value in terms of these line items which I mentioned, for example, cottage industry and the cold chain, they are very important too. And those are the areas I think that even the farmers, the banks, the those that are into lending, who are into lending to the real sector, should look at lending. And you can see that with that you are able to further, even you'll be able to kind of de-risk what happens at the farm gate, at the farm level, because you are able to
Yeah.
store, you are able to get good pricing for the product, and then the farmers will be happy. So it has to do with development of these two parts. I am very much, those two parts struck me, but I see that not much attention was paid to it in terms of allocation. But those that are thinking of how to advance the agricultural sector can look at this cottage industry, can look at cold chain, and there's much value to be taken from those line items. Yeah, that's my thinking at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. You know, normally I always say that in Nigeria we have come to a point where we need to focus on industrialization. For us to be recording a 30% post-harvest loss, and we are not doing anything about cold chain, and we're not doing anything about processing or turning our production, everything we produce, into products that we can consume in usable formats, we're losing a lot of value, a lot of jobs, a lot of resources to that end, right? And if you even check the global statistics, we're not even producing optimally per hectare compared to other climes of the world. So if we can harness this, from our little production, if we can harness the potentials that we have from the industrial component of cold storage, from processing, then I think it would be a good one. Over to you, Tohib.
Yeah, I'd like to take from you, Mr. Alfred.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, Tohib, are you on the call? I also think that we lost him right there.
Right, it looks like he's having some issues with the connection there. Right.
Probably for the sake of our audience, I may need to take more questions, and we can get it rolling. All right, so Mr. Sean, I will ask you one more question again, pending when they're about to join us.
Okay.
Now, the question will be that as an agricultural economist and a former Nigerian exchange professional, you see numbers differently, right? So for you, the 2026 agricultural budget jumped from over 120% from the previous budget, while our total national budget grew by only 5%. Now we have a total deficit of about 23.85 trillion. If you look at what the NRS posted as their revenue compared to our total budget. Now walk us through the real purchasing power of the 1.4 trillion after inflation and debt servicing. Is it actually larger than the 2025 budget in real terms?
Right. Thank you for that question. There we are looking at the whole macro picture of the Nigerian economy. Yeah. Even the total budget for year 2026 is more ambitious, right? And which is a good thinking. When we look at deficit, we don't. I don't always want to look at it as a bad thing, because there are a lot of factors that keys or ties into deficit for budget. Even in the developed economies, even in the US and other developed economies, there are issues with deficit financing of the budget. So it's not a bad idea, having the budget at over 58.4 trillion naira for 2026. I believe there's a thought pattern, there's a thought process to that, what the government is thinking. But in terms of the real value, I think we are at a sweet spot in Nigeria at the
moment. Hello, Famalu, can you hear us? Famalu, are you there? Kindly.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Oh, okay. We're getting some feedback from your end. Kindly mute your call. Thank you. Okay, please
Right.
continue, Mr. Sean.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I was saying that, yeah, deficit financing of budget is not a new thing. It's not inherently a bad thing, but the idea of fiscal responsibility by the government remains very key. Right. So yeah, we've seen that jump in terms of the number, the allotted the budget for the agricultural sector. For me, I like to tie agriculture and livestock. I mean, I know there's been a creation of livestock ministry with, I think, sometime last year to
Yes.
cater for that particular section of agriculture, of the agricultural, or that particular subsector of the agricultural sector that has been bedeviled by different challenges, right? But I like to still look at it under one lens because that's it's still part of agriculture. So deficit financing, yeah, we have that. I have mentioned over 25 trillion dollars for, as you mentioned, has been allotted for, I mean, deficit financing through budgeting. And but the interesting thing, which is a good thing, I see, is that most of the deficit is going, I mean, the borrowing is going to be done internally. We're going to be borrowing in naira, most of it, right? And
Yeah.
there is a dollar portion of it too. But we've seen what's been happening in terms of in real time. When you look at inflation, when you look at currency, because these are things that really affect the purchasing power at either the
Yes.
national level or even the subnational, or even as farmers or even as individuals or citizens of Nigeria. So in terms of that, we are getting to a very good spot, I must say. I'm not an apologist for the government. I'm not, but there are some things that are being put in motion that seems to be good. For example, if you look at the recent exchange rate value to the dollar, you see that the naira has
Yeah.
appreciated to about 1,300 plus, right?
Yeah.
Which is far better spot than where we had some years, just about 2 years back. And in real terms, when you take the dollar value of that budget and you begin to look at it in dollar terms, like in dollar terms now, I'm talking in dollar terms, you see that with the strengthening of the naira, we have there is more purchasing power in dollar terms, like to do things. For example, if we are importing machinery from maybe the advanced country or maybe from the US, we have the naira is more. It's much stronger, in a stronger position. Inflation too, we've seen it come down, but the question is, what's the real impact? Are we seeing the impact of the decreasing rate of inflation in the economy? But in terms of the budget, I feel that, yeah, it's a bit ambitious, but it's good to be very ambitious, and I kind of follow the thinking of the government in that perspective, right? Given that, for example, the anchor for this budget in terms of exchange rate is about 1,400, and we are doing about 1,300 at this time. So in real terms, we're in a better spot. We are in a better spot in real terms. But
Yeah.
the idea now is about matter of fiscal responsibility and putting money into budget line items that will support the sector, right? So with inflation coming down, with the currency appreciating, you see that the value of that 1.4 trillion, which is allotted to the budget, in dollar terms, it's a bit higher. Right, so if we go to the market and say we
Yeah.
can purchase more implements, if you are, for example, for farm implements that we don't produce here, such as tractors, we have more purchasing power to do things, and we hope that
Yeah.
continues. We want to see the naira strengthen more, at least in that regard. But the other side of it will be for the those that are into exporting, right? Exporting of goods from Nigeria
Yeah.
outside.
Yes.
Uh, outside Nigeria, there you begin to see they begin to have to calculate and say, am I in a better spot with the appreciation of the naira? Because the cheaper
Yeah.
the cheaper the naira is, the more value, the more easier for it is for those that are into exporting business, because those that are importing are able to with dollar buy more, and probably
Yeah.
those guys are able to make more profit. But we know that there's a balancing act there. But on paper, I can tell you that we are in a better spot, right? But the question remains how. The question remains in terms of allocation, how to spur the agricultural sector with the budget. It's a good thing that it's not the final print for the budget. I believe that there has to be more thought that will go into this, given the fact that you're looking at Naira appreciating. We have to put money in things that will spur the agricultural sector, right, and not things that are just there for brick and mortar purpose, right? So I believe there's going to be another iteration of this. This cannot be the final. This should not be the final print, right? In terms of the budget lines, because looking at it, this should not be the final print. We cannot be replicating brick and mortar project. The work of the impact for agriculture is on the field, right? It's not. It's not in building and refurbishing structures. I feel that budget line is embarrassing to me. It's very embarrassing. And in fact, to put it at some point, it could be annoying if you're looking at it, because if we compare what we are doing in Nigeria, Toib mentioned that the total budget is about slightly north of 2.52% of the total budget for agriculture is about just about slightly above 2.56%. Yeah, percent of the total budget. That's alone. Though we have that increase, right? We have that increase in terms of the amount allotted, but in terms of what we should be doing, we're far behind, because there was an agreement somewhere. I think that there's this comprehensive Africa agricultural development program where African governments pledge to allocate at least 10% of the budget, right, to agriculture. And we must do that. We must get to that point where we do that. But we know that at this point, due to insecurity in the country, a lot of money is being pumped in that direction to make sure that the farmers can actually even go to farm, especially around the food production belt of the country. But even at that, the 2.5% must be used on projects that are not duplicated and that will have impact on farmers and the agricultural sector, so that we can, at the end of the day, make agribusiness more profitable. We can make it more appealing to people, to young ones to come in. They are very interesting part of the budget that I see, talking about climate smart agriculture, talking about bringing, you are talking about youth empowerment and youth, bringing programs that will spur the interest of the youth in agriculture. Those are fantastic budget lines. But what amazes me is that even in the point of extension, I was looking at that budget line, the part allotted to extension. When I was doing my little analysis, I just put it as red flags in the budget. For example, you are having extension, the part allotted to extension at 941 million naira. Yeah, and you are having the construction, administrative blocks and everything over north of 6 billion, and you are having a very particular interesting line of that budget called the Renewed Hope Initiative. I don't know what that is about. It's about 3.5 billion. Those are things that will spur you to think and say, what are they thinking about drawing up these budget lines? But in terms of the actual number, the number is good. It's good to be ambitious. We are looking at a government that says they want a $1 trillion economy. I am sold to that idea. When you shoot for the maybe you're shooting for the sun. If you end in the moon, I don't know, you're in a better place. So I believe that this ambitious budget is not a bad thing in itself. In fact, deficit financing for the overall budget is not even a bad thing in itself, especially given the fact that we are looking at raising much of this capital in naira, probably through government borrowings, the capital market, maybe treasury bills, OMO, and the rest of it. Fantastic ideas, fantastic thought process in that line. Good time for the government in terms of appreciation of the naira. Good time in terms of the inflation number decelerating. Good, very good. But in terms of impact, we have to look at that's another story in terms of the impact of the deceleration of inflation on the budget, on the consumer wallet. That's another thing. But in terms of the numbers are fantastic to me. I think we are thinking right in terms of more allocation, and the strengthening of the naira will definitely help. But a lot of work needs to be done, and moving things around has to be done for this budget, and not just leaving it as it is. So the good part is that it's not the final iteration of the budget. So I believe they will still move things around in terms of budget. In terms of the real value of the budget of the 1.4 trillion, I think we're in a better spot, especially for areas where we don't have comparative advantage in terms of importing farm implements such as tractors and some other things we don't produce here. There's more purchasing power there because the naira is appreciating, and the amount allotted to agriculture is more. So I just thought to paint that picture for just some insight. Thank you very much.
Awesome, nice one. Over to you, Toyib.
I think you're muted. I'm not able to hear. I don't know.
Hello, Toyib.
No, I can't
I
hear
think
you.
he's having network issues.
Yeah, this should be like it needs to unmute or
Toyib, can you
something.
hear us? No, he's not even on mute anymore, but we just
Okay.
cannot hear him, and I think it's network. Okay, so Toyib is out of the call, but from my perspective, I'm looking at a lot of positivities for the year if we can harness it. Judging from the comments from Dangote and Otedola about the refinery output, where we're going to see naira strengthened, maybe to about 1,000 naira to the dollar. That's one. And number two, from the back end, we should be expecting a lot of should I call them waste or fertilizer production that will be coming out from the refinery, right?
Right.
So
right.
it means that with that level of massive output of refined oil, we're going to be having high levels of fertilizer production, which
Right.
may also drop the price from what we're experiencing now, because
Yeah.
we're going to be experiencing high levels of production, right? So I am looking forward to a lot more collaborations between the government and the private sector, and then and between the three tiers of government, so that they can channel the resources properly. So if we are saying we are dedicating, instead of 10%, we are just spending about 2.56% on agriculture, then we should put it in areas where we can capture more impact and that are more relevant to boosting food production and then to curbing, post-harvest losses in the budget. If we can do that, then we are about to see, some real tangible change in the budgeting. So
Right, I
I'll
agree
go
with
further
you.
to ask you, yes. So I'll go further to ask you some more questions about the budget. And the next one I'm going to ask you is let me take one of these questions. Okay, so according to Business Day and other trackers, they have flagged that over 50% of the 211 capital projects in the 2026 budget are either duplicated or non-core. Things like roads, street lights that are found in the budget, headquarter building, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So from your perspective, Sean, from your different layers in the field of finance, which three projects in the 1.4 trillion budget would you cut out instantly to free up money for actual mechanization and storage? And why would you do that?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that question. You would have seen from my previous from my previous thought, I totally disagree with the construction of a new secretariat or whatever it's called for the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. I don't know what that will achieve. in terms of value for Nigerians, I'm not sold out to. I'm not sold out to that budget line because I see it as being duplicated. Because even apart from that, you're talking of fencing, talking of construction of administrative block, or maybe remodeling of administrative block. So I feel, not to say that they shouldn't have a conducive environment that's befitting, but there should be a revision of that particular budget line to channel some of it to more productive things that will spur the budget. So for example, that alone, I feel this is not the best time for it. You know, one thing about agriculture is it's an interesting sector, that there is something in it for everyone at every point of the value chain. So there should be more rerouting of those kind of allocation to things that are more beneficial. So, for example, I will definitely probably not even. I might not knock it off. I would say maybe just they should be revised downward a bit. They should look at it and see how that can be revised downward. And in fairness to budgeting, a lot of thought goes into it. So it's not budgeting is not really an easy thing, because a lot of thought goes into it to provide guidance. So, but for me, I totally disagree with that. I see it as a total red flag as for me. And I also mentioned the renewed hope initiative. I think that's very political. 3.5 billion.
Yes.
I think that's very political. We shouldn't be
Very,
thinking
very.
in that aspect. You know why I feel we should not be thinking in that realm is that from my brief stint outside Nigeria, I see the potentials that we can drive through agriculture and make people richer, make farmers richer, right?
Yeah.
We have everything to sell to the world, right? Um, I was talking of cold storage. Here, I'm far off
Yes.
somewhere in another part of the world where it's very cold. We can't cultivate banana. We can't cultivate plantain. But I can tell you that here you even get unripe banana, unripe plantain, but they're not from Nigeria. We get yam, right? The yam here is not from Nigeria, and guess where it's from? It's from Ghana. So what are those guys doing that we can't do? So there's been a lot of policy flip flop in the agricultural sector. If you know, there was a time we had a minister who was very much concerned about exporting yam, and at the end of the day, we saw that a lot of those yams that were destined for export got spoiled somewhere and got rotten. So
Yes.
we need to be very thoughtful about what we are doing as Nigerians. The world cannot wait to get to buy what we have. Toyib and I, who were colleagues at undergraduate level, we went to some very interlands in Osun State, where they plant. When you see them loading bananas or plantain into trucks, you'll be like, "Oh, where is this going to?" Part of it gets wasted, right? So we need to be more constructive. For example, 3.5 billion for renewed hope initiative, which is very political. I don't know. I know that we are in an election cycle, right? That is understandable that we're in an election cycle, but we should be very careful with how we draw up very strange budget lines that raises questions about how we are thinking about improving the lives of farmers, or getting food security to a level at which we want it to get to. And you can see that any country that is not food secure is not a country. That's just the truth. Because
Yes.
just let's look back at just some few years back, when we had the Russia-Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and how that disrupted the global logistics, and we saw that hit food inflation.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is sit down. We have, I was just looking at the statistic. We have about 40% of our land as arable land, right? 40% of the total land area of Nigeria is arable. Something Nigeria is so blessed that it's a place you can throw something in and you get something out in terms of our soil. So we need to think about expanding, rerouting some of these budget lines. For example, I hope I see something like this renewed hope initiative budget line of 3.5 billion thrown into cottage industry, where we'll see people, people that are doing these things, get funding or get the needed amount of money to expand and even export. I am very much interested in seeing some of these things rerouted into more impact making budget lines and not drawing up budget lines just for political reasons. I am also bullish about what the government has done. I've said it in terms of on paper, inflation going down, the currency strengthening. They are doing some right things, right? But we need to also be disciplined in terms of in terms of we need to have fiscal discipline so that what we are doing on the monetary side can also be replicated here, and we see impact on on the real sector in terms of the agricultural sector. So I've just mentioned some of them. I know those that are looking at this would think twice, and I think just move things around to more impactful budget lines that will support the agricultural sector. Thank you very much.
Yes, very important. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much. Jerry Toby, you are welcome. The chief farmer of Africa. Long time no see. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you very much. I want to first and apologize to everyone that has stayed online to this time. I'm in Lagos and it's crazy here, like traffic and a number of things, and I never predicted that this would keep me down. So I had to hang into somewhere to actually have this meeting. And I want to say thank you very much. Thanks for your patience. And to my leader, Sir Alfred, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Toib, thank you. And my Oga, my Egmonsa, Mr. Shin, I followed you on Twitter. It's great to see you and hear from you. Your boy is humble here. Thank you very much for standing in for me, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Tohib and Olumide, I don't know how the network is at your end. I would have loved you to engage with Jerry Toby on some of the issues that we've been discussing. So, in case you are still live, we are talking about the budget. We are just appraising the budget. We are looking at some things that should be in the budget and some things that should be thrown out of the budget. And we are also, by chance, just giving some recommendations and hoping that the government is going to hear it and consider those recommendations so that we can get more impact at the grassroots level. So, Tohib, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, Tohib, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that I've not been able to join you guys. I don't know what is wrong with my network, and it's just been so crazy on my side. But I'm so sorry, but I'm able to catch on with most of what you and Sean have been discussing about, and I'm very happy about it, excited, and it's been very incredible. Talking about that, there has to be more consideration for the cottage industry and also, development of the cold chain, right? We lose a lot of our produces. If those produces can actually be saved, then we can have more food for ensuing season, and have efficient distribution to more people and, lift a lot of people out of hunger and, in helping us out with the purchasing power of the budget. We are seeing that the macroeconomic factors that we face in the previous years and now, they are not really the same, although there was volatility in the past, but now the exchange rate is sort of stable, but it's risen to, exchange rate unification and removal of subsidy, which is making importation, especially for critical inputs, like you mentioned, machineries that we are not able to produce in our country, for us to import them, affordably, and we can commit to production. So I really love that. And him also addressing us on some of the key things that we can remove out of the budget, for fiscal responsibility, such that, we are able to redirect them and allocate them to more productive areas and sector, talking about there's no need for the construction of the secretariat, right? And also the renewed hope initiative should be scrapped out, right? It's talking about a lot of potential in our country and how we have the fertile lines and all that, but we just have to do more, right? The budget is good, it has increased, but we can also reach the 10% like he said, that was reached by the African head of state at the Maputo declaration, right? So I'm just going to go to the next question, and I'll be asking uh, Jerry Toby, is very involved in this space, especially with monitoring of budget and also youth participation in the agricultural sector. So he was in Addis Ababa and he was in Kampala, had this privilege to see to things himself. So I asked question on LinkedIn about this, that it's high time that the African head of state come together to revisit that declaration that they had, and it made me know that they were already in Uganda at that particular point. So I want to address this question to you, Mr. Jerry. You sit on the National Agriculture and Food Security Council and have empowered over 5,000 smallholders, right? So looking at the 2025 budget capital release rate that offered below 60% in many states. So I just want to ask you that, what is one lesson from last year that, if ignored in 2026, we make this 2026 increased budget that we have, the 1.4 trillion budget, feel exactly like we had for 826 billion naira last year that failed to reach many farms? I'd like to hear from you on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm grateful again for this opportunity. But just to see, confirm if you can hear me. Alfred, just wave if you can hear me. Just wave. If you can hear me, just wave. Oh, good. Yeah. So just to say this, about experience. Yes, I sit as the National Youth Representative on the Council of Food Security and Agriculture, which is the Council of the Ministry, and it's one of the things that basically we have watched over time. We've watched from from at least for the past three administration. I've watched the budget, and one of the questions I've always wondered, interacting with the civil servants, interacting with people in Ministry of Finance, has been, how does this budget we present to the National Assembly, or the budget that is being allocated to the ministry, how does this relate? How does this trickle down to the smallholder farmer in Castina, in Papegua, in Kaduna, in Makurdi, in Benue, or in Epe, in Lagos? How does this translate? And the question has been, most of the budgets that we hear is just to settle overhead. Most of the budgets is just to settle overhead. And I'll tell you a reality. A year before, that was 2024, we had a very large budget. I can't tell you the exact amount now. I don't want to miss figures. One of the major activities that happened last year, if not for, please, I want us to understand. Let us differentiate what we call interdonor combination of projects with government projects. So let me give you an example. There's an IFAD VCDP. There's a Life ND. I know that Alfred will know about Life ND very well. There's a Life ND. There's the World Bank SAPZ. I know. So I say World Bank. There's a AFDB SAPZ. Those are inter-donor multilateral development collaboration with government, which is like a loan or a program from the government. Beyond this stuff, there is what we call government initiative, government-owned initiative that is deciding, okay, this is my plan for my people. During Akinwumi additional time, there was what we call the transformational agenda program, which I know he tried to do around data mapping for farmers, data gathering using the phone, trying to do the fertilizer so that the farmers in the village can actually get and everything. The question has been, all these budgets, even it's going to be 5% of the national budget, 2%, 10% as in Malabo, Kampala. Currently now we're in Malabo right now. And is it Malabo or Kampala? Sorry, I'm missing it up. But I know that there's currently a budget we are working on. And the question has been, how does this trickle down to the smallholder farmers? Mr. Shenwu has analyzed what it should be done. Yes, because I think it should have come earlier. But the question is, how does this trickle down? And one of the mistakes, I can tell you, in 2024, we had one project called the CBN distributing fertilizer. In 2025, nobody could hold on to a specific government-led, when I say specific government-led project or initiative, I say, okay, this is what we plan to do. This is what we're doing. In 2024-2025 budget, we had that they want to do youth and women incubation centers, agriculture. Up to now, nothing has been done. We don't know what happened to that budget. In like the past 4 budget, we have been hearing that they are building secretariats. Up to now, we don't know the progress of the secretariat. There's no progress. There's no accountability. We are not saying, okay, we have gotten to this stage of the project. Up to now, we are hearing that they want to do fertilizer. Every year, there's a fertilizer project. Last year, how many people received fertilizer from the government? So it's actually not designed. Budgets are not actually designed with that intention. And well, I won't say that from the civil service part of it, they will disagree with me. But in the realistic point of view, budgets are actually not designed to get to those smallholder farmers in those different areas. Now, finally, one of the mistakes, I think the quick question, what is that one mistake we don't want to replace? I think one of the things that got Mr. Toyib attracted to what I said when he made that post was the issue of allocation. There is difference between budget presentation and budget approval, then budget allocation. Now, let me tell you, it's a politics, and I think we shouldn't be playing with politics of food security. We play with the politics of national security. We played with it, and we see the mess we are already having. Now, the question is, the politics of food security is being played with, and when it happened, that's when you hear people like the WFP saying 32 million in Nigeria is going to be food insecure. So the question is, was there an allocation in 2025? It's a question we should ask ourselves. If you don't want the same mistake, is there going to be an allocation in 2026? Yeah, 2026 is here. We have said this is a budget of renewed hope, renewed gigaism, renewed resilience, and everything. The question is that what happened? Yes, we know that 2025, I don't know it was released. 2026, is it being released? I think we should save ourselves the politics of maybe there is actually an issue between the Ministry of Finance, the nation. Yes, I'm on live. I'm here live on YouTube. But one of the things we need to actually tell the fact that was there an evident initiative of the government in 2025? The same mistake should not repeat itself. Can government have had opportunity to design programs with the ministry, with different persons in the ministry? And I can tell you, the replication of that thing, they will tell you there's no budget to fund it. They can design beautiful, beautiful things, even to reach how it will get to the smallholder farmers, but it won't get because there's no funding for it. So it's one thing that we as citizens, as we're not activists, we are collaborators for this food system. We should look for a way of ensuring that we talk about it so that the government attention will be drawn to it, and the presidency can be drawn to it, so that they know that there's no allocation for what these people have said that is going to be done. The ministry keep on saying that they want to do renewed hope fertilizer. This year, the ministry said they want to do mechanization. The tractors are there already. Distribute this thing, hand over it to private sector, subsidize it, put it in the budget. Let us see it, then let the tractor go out. But it's another thing. So it's a lot of combined. I think as we talk furthermore in the conversation, I think I'll make some other points. I know I've said a number of things in one.
Thank you so much, Jerry Toby. Thank you so much. Tohib, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm still on the call. Thank you so
yes,
much.
thank you very much,
Jerry
Mr.
Toby. That was really insightful. I took 2 things
Okay,
from that actually.
I think let me go now, Toy, please.
Okay, you
I
can.
want to appreciate Mr. Jerry for everything he has said. And that takes me to the next question I want to ask him. I think he was talking about the tractor, talking about the fertilizer, talking about everything, just like he knows the next question I want to ask him. Last year, many farmers only heard about the fertilizer or tractor program on radio after the money had already been spent elsewhere. What practical steps by step system can ordinary citizen and farmers group set up? to track this 2026 budget at the local government level, state level, and at the federal level as well. We know they have been saying this every time. You just talk about the tractor as well. So, what do you think the small farmers, like the smallholder farmers that are at the grassroots level, what do you think we can do? We are just even hearing this budget. They are budgeting this amount. Nobody is seeing anything at all. So, what do you think we can do? You that you have been there and you know what is going on. So, what do you think we can do as a smallholder farmer? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. As a smallholder farmer, one of the things that our government do is to ensure that we are actually not informed about whatever is going on at the place of power. And that's why people like us, whenever we are privileged to give in that position, we should also share this information out. Just to say this, um, the issue around the tractor, let me start with the tractor specifically, which is an interest to a lot of people. For now, currently, the tractor is in the hand of the BOA, which is the Bank of Agriculture. The BOA, that's Bank of Agriculture, currently. So they are the one handling that renewed hope tractor system. For a smallholder farmer, be honest with you, if you can get a digital from someone that can help you, go to the BOA website and apply for the tractor. I know it's closed. I know they will open another cohort, but specifically go to the BOA and go and apply for the tractor. But I'll be honest with you, if you don't have 25% of the amount of the tractor, so a tractor worth almost 80, 100 million. So if you don't have up to like 25 million, I don't know how you will get the listing. So it's a question I cannot answer. I'm not BOA. Mr. Ayo can be invited to speak on that. Mr. Ayo Shuteri, which is the MD of the BOA. For the fertilizer, I'm not sure of any fertilizer for any listing last year. But let me now tell you, a number of people need to know that there is an office of the Federal Ministry of Agri in every state. They call it the ministry office. So you need to actually go and look for it either in the state capital or anywhere it is. I am the office is in Makurdi, is in Lafia, is in Kwara. I told the number of young people that we had gathered together, and I told them, I said, hey, go to your state offices where the Ministry of Agriculture is. There are inputs for you to receive there. If you're a farmer, go and identify yourself as a cooperative, identify yourself as a group, and go and tell them that this is information I had. What can we benefit from it? And I can tell you a lot of them received. In Nasarawa alone, over more than 700 to 1,000 youth, more than 1,005 youth received inputs, costly the ministry. So if information is actually not dispersed, people don't know about it. It's not a lot. So government cannot serve everybody. They can only serve the little they can do. So my advice for you is to see that you get this information from these farmers. I will get this information to these farmers. Let them know that in your state director, in Lagos, I know there's an office of the ministry. Look for it. What partnership did they have? Go to your state commissioner office. What information did they have that can benefit you as a farmer? If it doesn't come now, it will come soon. That's what I will have to say. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, yes, thank you very much, Mr. Jerry. I appreciate the fact that you gave us that insight. And trust me, we are talking about Bank of Agriculture. They are the one in charge of the tractor now. And I hope this information gets to our smallholder farmers because not every farmer knows that they need to have an account with UAE, they need to do some other things like that. I think what they need to do is just getting this information to the grassroots level. I think it's very, very important because if you're living out smallholder farmers, which are like 70 to 80% contributor to the food production in our country, then that means we are still lacking behind. So I think BOA should do a lot of things about giving information to farmers at the grassroots level and how to have access to those tractors. So I'll be going straight to Mr. Toib for the next question for Mr. Jerry. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, Mr. Toyib, are you there?
If Mr. Taib is not here, then I need to take the next question. But I think I've not really asked any question from Mr. Shion. Probably my network was also bad as well too. So I would love to also talk to Mr. Shion about this particular question. Just give me a few minutes. I think the network is just misbehaving today. So sorry that we are not really getting this thing right. So a minute, please.
So, just want to say this, Mr. John, just to add before everyone come back. We were talking about the renewal initiative. I just want to make it a conversation before everyone gets settled. The Renew Hope initiative. For me, I think I don't have issues with the name. Make it renewed hope, make it hope renewed, make it hope revived, hope energized. The question is, what is the plan? What is the matrix? We understand that this is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's season, is his period. We need to actually he take it as a brand for himself. It's a brand he has decided to attach himself with, and it's actually acceptable. But the question is, can we see the plan before the execution? Because one of the things that made initiative fail in Nigeria is that presentation of that plan to the public, to make the public well aware, is what the politics of what they will do to those plans. So the politics of the plan is that I will not make you get informed. When I'm done, I will tell you I've done it. So you now wonder, where did they do it? You get my point?
I do get your point. I do get your point. But from the lens at which I'm looking at it, when I saw that line, it appeared vague to me. Like, what is this about? Like, renewed hope initiative. It would be more incisive to have like a breakdown of what they are doing about that for that particular budget line. But I want to say this, that the way we politicize things in Nigeria is a tough route to go through, especially for agriculture. Nigeria is a very interesting country. That whatever party you belong to as a politician, the way I look at it, they are not like the West, where they are divided along ideological lines, right? For example, I don't see any difference between a PDP or ADC or APC, whatever they are. So my thought would be for there to be like a strategy that is maybe a 25-year strategy. And I must give it to the Lagos state government, right? Someone shared something with me, I think last year, about the plan of the Lagos state government for maybe the next 20 years for agriculture. And to be sincere, I'm usually a critic of the government anyways, because I like to hold the government responsible, which I think we don't do as much as we are supposed to do in terms of holding the government responsible. That budget, that policy document is crafted for maybe like 20 years, and I can see the steps. For example, you have there's a construction going on in Ekpe, right? One massive construction about, I think it has to do with a storage facility or something like that. I've seen one or two capital projects that have been done that is drawn from that policy document. So for me, I feel that agriculture should not be something that you begin to, when a government comes, you switch, just like what you mentioned additional during this time, the transformation agenda of Nigeria, where they talked about having a part of flour being cassava based. That policy is gone. You had the fertilizer program where you could, on your phone, rural farmers could do things on their phone. That policy is gone. We had Audu, I'm going to mention that minister too. He had this yam policy. We should import yam. We should export yam. That policy is gone. For now, I think there is a drive towards mechanization, buying tractors. That has always been. I don't know how far that will go. because when you mention the amount that has to be that the smallholder farmer has to have to procure such important machinery, it breaks my heart to like how many will be able to achieve to have that as a down payment, but I think the way we should look at agriculture is a life or between life or death. Some of the things we accept in Nigeria are not things that we should generally accept. We should hold the government's feet to fire. I don't know how we can do that. I mean, to be honest, I think Mr. Jerry mentioned how you do that. One way, there needs to be more of that, because agriculture is something we cannot just push to the back burner. But I don't know, but the politicization of agriculture, for me, I have a very serious issue with it. I believe there should be maybe a 25-year plan, no matter the government that comes in. If all the political parties can come together and craft a document or a policy that will say, that will give us a direction. We've had this issue from even from the Green Revolution to Operation Feed the Nation to transformation. There's just been this flip flop. But the whole idea is that we want to make agriculture more impactful. We want to make the farming profitable. But when we begin to, we are here today, we are there tomorrow, we are here today. It's heartbreaking. But we'll just continue to discuss this and make sure that the government is held accountable.
So before Olumide and the other two come, I just want to say this quickly, because of our time. I know that we have less than 10 minutes. Just to say this, sir, I'm actually even afraid. I'm actually even not buying us doing 25-year plan. Ask me why.
Okay.
Do you know why? Because we have had plans, and plans, we get to forget plans easily. I can tell you for a fact. We get to forget the plan. We start the plan in so there's a narrative going on currently. I was part of the people that worked on NATIP. NATIP is what Nigerian is actually using on now. That's the Nigerian Agricultural Technology Innovation Plan. It was worked with the USAID. I worked with that team back then, and I can tell you, yes, Nigeria is following it somehow. Anytime they want to make reference, they will make reference to it. But the fact is, we get to forget these things. So if you say, oh, we have NATIP, the president doesn't mention NATIP in his speech. Because when I tell someone, I say, if you go to Lagos now, Lagos says they have a year plan. If someone who leaves, the next governor will remember that year plan. That plan has been from Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he was governor. Till the time now Tinubu is there, is that plan they're still talking about it. But I realize that Nigerian actually quick to forget if you're not in the same party. So Additional and Akume were in the PDP. Now because it was a PDP agenda, I don't want to do anything. Oh, what they did was rubbish. Now, what is his name? Buhari came in, there was a Momu, there was a Nano, and the rest. Everybody takes those policies as rubbish. They brought down all the fertilizer company, brought down everything. And the question was, how do we continue like this? How do we continue? For me, I think if you just do that 5-year plan, but one thing is that you make a reference to it and you keep on ensuring that people actually look at it in building anything they want to do. Like now, I will not disagree that the mechanization plan is not in that NATIP because it was part of the NATIP. Because we understood that for food production, there's actually a need for land development, which actually is a critical problem currently for food security. For me to say finally, I want to say that food security should not be politicized. Mm-hmm. Food security should not be politicized because that is what happened to our national security that was politicized, and it is a mess today. If food security is politicized, I can tell you, in the next 5 years, count what I'm saying. This is 2026. Don't let me say 25 years. In the next year, by 2030, I can place a bet that if they keep on politicizing food security for the next 4 years, I can tell you that more than 50% of Nigeria will go to bed not able to eat.
Hello.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Mr.
so much,
Jerry. I
Jerry.
think I hold on to what
Yes,
you just said
we are
now.
listening.
You said, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Hello?
hear you.
We can hear you,
Yes.
Yeah.
Olumide.
You said
Olumide, we can hear
you
you.
said if the agric system, or let me say the food system of our nation, is continues to be politicized in the next 4 or 5 years, many Nigerians will not be able to eat. I think I hold on to that, and probably we need to work towards that. So I'm going back to Mr. Shirin again. That was the question I was looking for the other time. I said, if we execute only 70% of 2026 agricultural budget perfectly, what does Nigeria agriculture will look like in 2030? And if we repeat the same mistakes that was made in 2024-2025 budget execution, what does it look like as well? So now this is like, okay, we have a new budget. If we do it perfectly, 70% perfectly, what do you think that agri space is going to look like in Nigeria? And if we repeat the same mistake that we made last year, what are we expecting to get again? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olumide. That's a very interesting question. I don't have a crystal ball to say what it's going to look at like in 2030, but I would say that we have to be much more aggressive with implementation of a budget. I was looking at what happened last year, just on a holistic view for the whole budget, but I did not get enough data to provide further color. But at least to H1 2025, that's the first half of 2025, we had a revenue shortfall and also expenditure shortfall. And even looking at what's happening in other sectors, I've been following some discussion at the National Assembly in terms of the government releasing money for capital projects, for construction and all other very key critical sectors, even such as health. It was not a pleasant story to even tell. So there has to be discipline in terms of budget implementation. I would say that a lot has to be done by the federal government in terms of being fiscally responsible. But I want to say that I don't look at, especially when it comes to agriculture, I prefer to look at it at even the subnational level, the local government level, the state government level. I believe we should also be looking at those guys and be questioning them, because a lot of things I saw even in the budget, such as construction of feeder roads. Typically, I mean, my 100 level training in school would tell you that, hey, they call it trunk zero, that these are not necessarily the responsibility of the federal government. The local government should be responsible for that. So, and I see the drive by the government in terms of making Nigeria a truly federal state, and where the local government gets their deserved allocation and execute projects. So I will not only be looking at the federal government as time goes on, we should also be questioning what's going on in the local government. For example, if you want to get a tractor, you are at the end of the day, you are not going to go to probably the federal government. Some of these things would have been allotted by local government, so the 774 local governments, and say, okay, you have this number of tractors, you have this number of tractors. We should be responsible to the extent that we say that, okay, the machineries that are allotted to at the local government level actually gets to the farmers, right? Are not diverted to some people to do whatever they want with it. So we are at the threshold of where we have to be very responsible, or we totally miss out of our potential for agriculture. By 2030, we should not be having this conversation. We should be looking at much conversations around, oh, how profitable are our farmers? Okay, what are our farmers able to? How is their livelihood able? How has it improved within the past 5 years? Because if the farmers are not getting improved livelihood, nobody's going to be interested in agriculture. We are going to have an aging agricultural population if people continue to see this line of development. So we have to I don't have a crystal ball to project what's going to happen in 2030, but as Jerry Toby said, well, he prefers it to be like a step-by-step yearly appraisal, which I agree with. Even within a medium-term appraisal, I mean budget planning, there's that yearly thing. What have we achieved? What are we going to achieve? Where are the shortfalls, right? So these are things we have to look at. Agriculture is a very important part. We should be able to feed ourselves. We have everything in Nigeria to be able to feed ourselves. Last week, I tuned into the program where a colleague of mine that is somewhere also in another part of the world was talking about the peculiarities of the Nigerian state, and it's so troubling. And these issues are things we have been discussing for years. As young as I am, I've been hearing this for over 10 years, over 10 years, at least I can say over 15 years. The same issues, right? So we have fiscal responsibility is very important, and looking at the local government, what is happening in these places? What are they doing with their allocations to agriculture? We have at the local government councillors or whose file or portfolio is agriculture. It's interesting to see that when you go there, nothing is happening, but their allocations, and to be honest, some of these amounts trickle down to them, and they have some of this amount and they're not doing anything with it. So we can't afford to miss it, because we have a young population and we cannot afford not to be able to feed our population, right? We cannot afford not to make agriculture more profitable. We cannot afford to be complacent, because as Nigeria is, there's no other country within West Africa that we can run to help us, and that is the peculiarity of Nigeria. You can't run to Ghana. We even a population-wise, we are bigger. We can't run to Niger, Chad, and look at what's happening in the Sahel region. That region is heating up with insecurity, which is trickling down to Nigeria. So we have to get security right. We have to get fiscal responsibility right. We have to also not only be looking at the federal government alone, right? The federal government, of course, they craft the strategy, they look at things, but even at the state government and at the local government level, the allocations that go to these guys, right? What are they doing with it for agriculture? Because if we don't get it right and we are growing at this population, we might have challenges feeding our population. Right. And, I saw a data released by the National Bureau of Statistics where they said food inflation has declined. If I look at, I'm trying to even get the figure here. I think the last figure year on year is about 8%, right? And you look at it in terms of the wallet of Nigerians. Nigerians are still complaining that food is still expensive, right? So we have to get policy right. Aid, the loans and aids we have to give to the farmers. You see, at this point, the good thing is that one of the good parts is that of all this issue about tax that the government has been talking about, I can see that the agricultural sector to a large extent has been excluded from VAT payment on machineries and other things, and also small older farmers, their transactions too are kind of they are not they are VAT exempt, which are good things, because those little extra tax that is being paid will definitely have effect on inflation. So we have to get this right. 2030 is just 4 years from now. We have to make use of we have a peculiar situation in Nigeria where we have arable land, but there's this issue of land fragmentation. The development of our cottage industry is very important, because that speaks to smallholder farmers, smallholder producers. And by the time we begin to invest in these guys, they are able to get loans, they're able to expand, they're able to produce to the highest of standards, they're able to export. I am very much big on having our farmers export to other parts of the world, right? It's doable. And why I know it's doable here where I am, we have people that we have Nigerians here that want to have Nigerian elubo, Nigerian to eat amala, right? And these things get here. They are able to get. So these are areas we can, when we do things right, people will produce to the highest of standard that they will be able to export. And with that, at that level, the farmer is richer. So I believe the fiscal responsibility is key. The government continue to, we need to look at what's also happening at the local government level, and we also need to have a system where grants and loans are easily accessible. We had the issue with the anchor borrower scheme. I don't know how effective it's been. We've had the issue of NIRSAL, the risk sharing. There was this body that was set up to de-risk agric. Agric is a very important sector, but the profit margin too is very small because there's the issue of risk, right? So we have to put everything in place to make it more profitable, so that people can reap the reward. Those that are going into agriculture can reap bountifully the reward of going through this very, very inconvenient space we are operating in Nigeria. It's a very tough thing to do business in Nigeria, given all these barriers we have mentioned. But fiscal responsibility and letting things trickle down, and also empowering our farmers to produce with the right standards, so that we can have that. They can also tap into the potentials of the export market. The people in South America are doing that. You see most of the food, banana, banana, plantain from South America. They find their way to other parts of the world. Why can't we push our food to Europe? That is just how many hours from Nigeria? We should do more at those target markets. We have what it takes to do this. And I'm not just talking about export here, but also even for us to be self-sufficient. It is very important. No country is going to help Nigeria to be self-sufficient. And there is also a gap I've seen. There is this policy drive in the US. They call it Africa Growth Opportunity Act. I was looking at the statistics there, and I see that Nigerian farmers have not been able to benefit from having an export duty-free market to the US, because all we do is to export crude oil, basically. But there is a market there where our farmers can export duty-free, but they have to produce to the highest standard. So there is a lot of work to do. I don't know who the current Minister of Agric is. I don't know him by name, but there is a lot of work to be done. I see some things. There are bright spots. States like Lagos, states like Niger, even Ekiti State, we've seen expansion of farm settlement. There needs to be more of that. There needs to be empowerment of the farmers to be able to produce for us, because we have a population that is growing, and we also have a market out there that is ready to take up our produce if properly produced, stored, and exported. There's huge potential. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much for that, Sean. Jerry, before we go, just one last question for you, Jerry. I was looking at the budget, and then I saw some things that I wanted to bring up here. One of them says construction of primary health center in Powerline, Lagos State. Another of the project, that's 140 million. Another of the project says completion of federal primary health center lobby, right? So there are a lot of projects that I personally do not think that should be in the budget for agriculture. Completion of the Ekitido Owa Cultural Hub, Kwara State South Senatorial District. So there are just a lot of things that should be in other ministries' budget, right? So I've asked you this question before, but Jerry, I want to hear you have flagged that over 50% out of the 211 capital projects in the 2026 Agricultural Ministry budget are either duplicated or non-core, meaning they are not core to agriculture, like the health center and what have you that I just read. So, Jerry, which three projects in the 1.4 trillion naira budget would you call acquisition and storage objects?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's so interesting that you're asking me
Hello,
The
Jerry, are
question
you
of the
there?
budget that somebody wrote. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Can
can.
you hear me?
Please go ahead. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes, I can hear you.
it's so interesting. They asked me the budget or a national budget that somebody wrote or some group of people wrote in Abuja, and I am here in my farm, and I'm talking and you're asking me
Lagos.
because I wonder what concern public health with what they calling it public health with public health center with agriculture. You know, it's so surprising that we know the politics. Let me be honest with you. I know the politics. I've been in the national. I worked in the National Assembly at my early of my career, and I understand the politics of what the senators do. So what they do is to see that, oh, where can I fit in this thing I want to do in my constituency? How can I put it in this budget? Just the budget for national health, budget for health is a lot. I agree. Oh, minister, can you or ministry, can you do that or this thing? It's a lot. For me, I think maybe let me even give them another option again. Can you guys hear me? I think I'm having a very bad network. Please,
We can hear you.
seeing that
Yes, we
I'm
can hear you.
hanging. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
We can hear you. Yes, go on.
Okay.
Go ahead, you are audible.
Can you
Can you
hear
see
me?
my hands? We can hear you. Yes.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, okay, fine. So as I was saying, I said it's so surprising. You know, one of the things I think when you hear them doing feeder road, I'm surprised who should be in charge of a feeder road. The Federal Ministry of Work should be in charge. Any kind of road should be in charge. So for me, I told somebody, and I've always told anyone I have opportunity to take, please, can you just let your budget revolve around maybe 4 things and say, I don't have much to do. I'm giving 54.1 trillion to undo something. I have 4 major things that will impact the nation. Can I do, number one, an incubation center for young people across the nation? When they build this incubation center, maybe allocation of 1 or 3 billion per state. And I say 3 billion for each incubation center where young people, women, everybody, processors can come together and fulfill the NAFDAC standard, exportation standard, like Mr. Sheung was talking, fuel the global standard, 3 billion each in all the states. That is not less than 96 billion. Let me say that's less than 100 billion. If I'm right, 36 times 3. Let us even say that is almost like how many is that? 36 times 3. That's almost more than 120. 120 billion. So if I'm saying I'm allocating 120 billion to build incubation centers across the state, I'm going to say that it's going to towards agricultural development. If I said okay, I'm working on mechanization, all I'm doing is mechanization. I know that all I want to do is to subsidize tractor purchase and everything. All I do is to say that okay, let people know me for mechanization. But when you see all these tricky things, it doesn't allow for national development. So for me, I'm actually surprised. I'm not the one that wrote it. I've always read it like the way you read it, and it's not only this year. You know, it's shocking that I was passing one day in Abuja or coming from Nasarawa, and I saw in National Stadium they said Ministry of Water Resources, built by Ministry of Water Resources. I was like, Water Resources Stadium, Mefaru. What is the combination? Like,
Yeah.
what is the
Yeah.
so it's actually just so surprising. And just to talk about the local government, and I want to just announce this to Nigerians, and I think if you can take this clip out for every Nigerian, we want to tell you that the importance of local government, as we speak right now, has been given the autonomy. Some are already having financial autonomy, some are already having a lot of political autonomy. Can we young guys go visit our local government chairman wherever they are? Don't say, oh, we don't even know who they are or this thing. Look for your local government secretariat, visit them, go and look for the person, the councillor or the person in charge, the SA in charge of agriculture or the local government, and ask, what is your plan for agriculture? If he doesn't have a plan, tell him that you will go and write a plan for him, and if he can work towards it. When you're writing a plan, give him like 3 ideas and tell him that this is idea, this is the budget behind it. Anyone you can afford that will make impact. So I think that is what we can. Oh, that is Nigeria. Sorry. So that's how we can see that we can work together to ensure that we work with the local government, we work with the state governor, we work with everyone.
3 people
to
in
see
the local
that
government.
Nigerian
To
agricultural
add
system.
to what you are saying, 3 people in the local government chairman, the head of agric at the local government, and the supervising councillor for agriculture, local government level. Those 3
Exactly.
persons.
Very
Engage
important.
with them. Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
Very important. So please, let's all collaborate. For me, I don't believe government is some set of individuals. I'm a government. I'm part of the government. You are part of the government. Government is not meant for minister. It's not meant for commissioners. It's not meant for the governors. It's not meant for the president. Government is you, is me, is them. So whenever they are making this policy, they don't involve you. I'm being invited for one program on Wednesday already by the minister, and it's a stakeholders meeting. I'm going to be there again to share my idea. I won't keep talking. I will not stop talking until I see some changes. I'm saying that, but when I see that some changes are being politicized, I also voice it. I say, oh, you told us you will share tractors for you give us tractors, you have a plan, but now we're saying that even private MSPs might not have the capacity to actually, what can we do about it? 25 million is a lot of money for people to actually access this money, these tractors. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appealed and said, Nigeria will make agricultural sexy. This is actually not more sexy. This is not more rosy. I'm looking for the word to use now if it's not sexy. So it's actually something of concern we need to actually look at. So those are my few minds I can share this evening. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Tohib and Olumide, over to you guys so that we can call it a day here. And hello, Tohib, are you on the call?
Well, let me even say this. I think it's good to advertise what I do quickly. Mr. Alfred, you are a fish person. I don't know who is watching. So that Mr. Sheung, in case he has been talking about exports, Mr. Sheung, if you need someone, I have one of the biggest ginger farm in Nigeria here. So I have very great ginger from Kaduna. And I have an amazing Nigerian rice from Nigeria and the best spices. I produce the best spices. Mr. Alfred can testify. The best spices in the world. So in case you want to order or you have contacts, please don't forget to always reach out.
Sure, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, Olumide, are you on the call? Tohib said he had one last question, so I don't know. He's not on the call right now, but Olumide is here, but I still do not know if he's having network issues. But from my end, that should be all from my end. Jerry, thank you. Sheung Adeyemi, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that we can do this more often, and probably we can turn this into a dialogue or a very, very good. Oh, Tohib said he's here. Okay, thank God he can hear us. I hope that we can do this more often, and we can probably channel this in the best way that the minister can get a recommendation from us for some of the ideas that we have, not just advocacy alone, but a proper engagement with his office so that he can get some of this feedback, one-on-one from agric professionals and say, this is what we think. This is, even in politicizing, we believe that if you get the job done, you have done a very good political work. There is no, for example, when I saw the Renewed Hope initiative, what was on my mind was things like branded t-shirts, handouts that the ministry is going to give to people, and all of that. And that's heavily budgeted for, right? But if you do a solid project that people also benefit from, you have also achieved the goal of, playing that politics right there, right? People just need to be impacted positively. Right. So from my end, I think I am good to go. I am just waiting for Tohib and Olumide, and then we can call it a day. Olumide, are you on the call, please? What about you, Tohib? Can you hear me? Okay, I think the both of them are having network issues. So thank you so much, Seun Adeyemi, for coming. Thank you so much, Jerry Toby, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate and celebrate. Thank you for your input. We celebrate you. Thank you so much for coming. God bless you. All right. So have a good night rest. We'll see you. And viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all your engagements across the various platforms. Thank you so much. Have a good night rest. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.